Hey, Deborah.
Wendy, I think
Guess,
today
guess what time it is?
it must be take a breath time.
It is. It is time to get up, take a breath, put your stuff down, and just breathe in and let's come hang out. Well, welcome, ladies. We are so glad you're here with us. We missed you last week. I hope you were able to catch our surprise that posted on Friday. So if you didn't get an opportunity, we're going to encourage you to go check that out. We were live together in Orlando, Florida. Deborah and I were. We went to a training class to just kind of brush up some of our skills. And also, we wanted to share that opportunity. So we met with Joe Peachy from Peachy and Peachy. And so definitely check out that podcast. He's talking about sales and how to, really kind of build your pipeline and just brush up on your sales skills. I learned so much, Deborah, didn't you? Wasn't that so awesome?
It was very much awesome. I couldn't believe it. It was a great week. It was a great 3 days for me.
Yes, it was. And well, it didn't hurt that we got to have, dinner and kind of hang out a little bit. That was kind of nice too, wasn't it?
It was. Well, we always do better when we're together, Wendy. We have great ideas, great synergy. We get a lot done. We have a way of utilizing each other's strengths to bring out the best ideas and to continue thinking about how we want to move forward with women in business. So I'm excited.
Well, this is a good opener here because today our podcast we're going to talk about: are you a good starter or are you a good finisher?
Yeah, those are hard questions, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And Deborah, I was talking with one of our listeners last week and realized that, many of the women listening are not even aware of what we do here. And I wanted to just take a moment while we're taking a breath to kind of rectify that. So, ladies, if you're joining us for the first time, or if you've been watching for a while and thought, wow, I wonder what Deb and Wendy does when they're not hanging out and taking a breath with us. Well, ladies, we provide clarity so that women can focus on building sustainable businesses, create margin in their life, and impact those around them. We help you increase your revenue, your market share, and margin, which, we need that margin in our life. We've just been talking about that as well. To develop a deeper understanding of your administration and operation and performance metrics. Well, Deborah, the metrics are my favorite.
I know they are, Wendy, and really it's about having clear systems so that they are available to us so we can make wise decisions, that we're not running behind them, that we're leading those metrics.
Absolutely. So welcome, ladies. That's a little bit about what we do.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Wendy, after we got together last week and the things that we talked about, it really became apparent to me. And I wonder if the ladies out there feel the same way, that do they feel like their business is running them instead of finishing what we need to do that's most critical to the success of our business? I don't know. Do they become distracted while they're in the middle of something and then losing momentum because something else got into our way? I heard last week that it takes 500%. I get this. I hope ladies are writing it down. 500% more time to finish a task than when that was interrupted. So if you're in the middle of making phone calls, if you are in the middle of doing your social media marketing, and then you go back to it, 500% more time. I don't know about you. I don't have time to give away, Wendy. Don't have time. So getting started and then restarted. So if you're interrupted by phone calls or fighting fires or just other distractions that come your way that keep you from finishing, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how do we finish, how do we ensure that we're focused on those things that move our business forward.
You know, that 500%, I remember when we heard that last week, I thought, "Oh, it can't be that bad." Then I got back to the office and had my list, and I realized, oh, it might actually be worse than that when I got right down to it. You know, have you ever had this day when you had a to-do list? I came back and I was prepared with my to-do list. I prioritized it to my non-negotiables, needed to get done, things I'll delegate, and the things that are like, yep, that's out of here. I may title that's out of here. And you were ready to go. And then the day happened. And you got a phone call asking you to send this, or can you help me with that? Or you open social media post and then you got sucked into the rabbit hole, and all of a sudden you look up and 30 minutes have gone by. Next thing you know, it's 6 p.m. You've not completed the most important tasks on your list, and now you're behind. So guess what happens? The stress sets in because you forgot to focus on the main thing. Now, Debra, this probably has never happened to you or any of these amazing ladies on this call. Maybe it's just me.
No, Wendie, I don't think so. You know, I probably more often than I would really like to admit to. It's that constant stopping and restarting that really gets me off track and being able to finish a task because my mind then goes off onto another area, another field, somewhere between phone calls, emails, WhatsApp, text messages. I mean, all of it. Just really interrupt. And it's too often that I can't even schedule the interruptions. And I feel like my schedule is about interruptions as opposed to being proactive and leading and taking charge of my day so that I can achieve what's important to me. So I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like this chaos of interrupting my productivity. And many times that's what happens. You know, even the nature of the work that I do and who I work with, I have to be ready at a certain time for people who have needs all over the globe. But I've got to be able to figure out my schedule better to block off those times to feel that I've had a productive day. You know, on your schedule, my schedule asks me, or my calendar asks me the question, what's your focus? You know, I don't know, finish maybe might be a focus. And then, you know, asking me to kind of summarize and what was my biggest win. Well, you know, sometimes that's not is what I would hope it would be.
Well, you know, there are days that my biggest win was I got enough time to get up and, you know, go take care of some things and for 3 minutes between meetings, you know, and they do, you know, again, we have this kind of choice, right? It's either going to control us or we're going to control it. So here, let me tell you what I did yesterday.
Okay, I can't wait.
I had my list.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get fancy. I took a scrap piece of paper. I made my list. I did my prioritizing, and I just kept focusing on getting it done. Now, I'm going to give you a caveat, ladies. I don't want you to think I hit success on the first day out. However, I did complete everything that was my priority. I just worked until 7 o'clock. But need to control that just a little bit better. However, I'm going to tell you, I felt rejuvenated on my drive home, knowing that I actually got all that done. Now, I still have a massive to-do list, but the thing that was so important yesterday it was just relieving. And I actually got to go home and be joyful, right? Because I felt that sense of accomplishment.
Well, Wendie, I know how important that is, and I have a really early morning schedule. But what I've done in the last couple of days is taken a real keen look at really what I need to do, and those morning hours are my best productive time. And I decided that it was really about honoring myself and honoring what God had called me to accomplish. And so my new theme is being kinder to myself. And so I've taken a hard look and said, are there things that I don't need to do? I can't wait to get into our 3 tips today.
I know. Well, I'm just going to tell you before we jump into the first one is nobody would want me to be on a call at 5 a.m. Just saying, because you do that with grace. I don't know how you get up and be on calls and aware at 5 a.m. So kudos to you. All right. Well, let's talk about our first tip, if you will. Why do we get distracted?
Yeah.
Some reasons for that. Some of the reasons for that. So let's try and kind of talk about the first one. We haven't determined what the main thing is. And when I was working on my to-do list, that was a different thing, was what's my main thing today? Yes, I had tasks in a bunch of different areas, but what's the main thing today? And that made a difference. And then what are your priorities for the day? That's the first thing that we need to do. That's one of the reasons we get distracted.
Yeah, and I think also, Wendy, when we wake up in the morning, what's the first thing most people do? They look at their cell phone or they're looking at their laptop and looking at messages, things that came in, as opposed to saying, what do I need to do at this moment? And the first thing that we should be doing is our daily devotional. That should be the priority. Let God set the standard for where we're going in our day and hearing from Him. And I've been there. I know what that's like. And it's like, oh my gosh, how important am I have to look at this first. I got to put this before God. And really just saying, no, this has a place. So that has made a tremendous difference. Now sometimes I miss things that I should have known, but it really does help to focus the day a little bit better.
Well, little birdie told me,
oh yeah,
that you got a new calendar.
I did get a new calendar. I've been struggling for a long time with about what is the right calendar, what do I need to have, and so I was invited to be a part of a women's women in leadership conference, and one of the tools that they gave us was a passion planner. Okay, this is one I haven't tried before. I've tried a lot of them, but I haven't tried this passion planner. And so I thought, okay, I'll give it a try because it's a daily planner. I like a weekly layout so I can kind of see, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm learning to live with it. I have it's for 3 months. I'm going to give it a try. I can let you guys know how well it works for me, but it does, I think, help to be a little bit more focused.
Excellent. Well, another reason that we get distracted is we're allocating our time to the wrong activities, or we allocate a certain amount of time and it's not accurate. Oh, I can get that done in just a couple of minutes. An hour later, today I was like, okay, I'm just gonna post up at our next seminar in June, and 2 hours later, because I went down that rabbit hole. Oh, well, I should do this, and oh, well, I need this, and oh, well, I need that. And so we're not allocating our time in the correct amount of time. Another reason, and I'm going to be honest with you ladies, this is one that I struggle with, and that is putting boundaries on my time. When we came back from this last week, I always try and say, okay, what are 3 things that I'm going to do that I learned, and I'm going to focus on those first 3 things. And one of them was setting boundaries on my time. I am not attending meetings unless I know they're worth my time. I'm being more frugal with my time. I used to, if I'm going to have a meeting, I give it an hour. Just automatically give it an hour. I'm like, no. Let's see if we can't do this in 30 minutes. And I've been real conscious of that, ladies. I'm just going to tell you you'd be amazed that you can do the same amount in that 30 minutes. And I'm not cheating anyone out of time either. Just being very conscious of mine and theirs. And then the last thing in here is setting realistic expectations. I mentioned that about you not setting enough time, and then sometimes small tasks will lead to a big win. So we want to make sure we're focusing on that main thing and setting some boundaries.
Wendy, a couple of weeks ago, I was doing a presentation and I determined that I was looking at communication. I think I've talked about this before, but I started looking at it, and I've been trying to do my meetings in 30 minutes or less, and even asking the question, can we get it done in 15? Rather than thinking everything has to be a block of an hour. That just leads to waste and talking about things or discussing things that are not even on the main point of it all. And so I'm with you. I've rearranged my electronic calendar so it goes in 15-minute segments so that I can figure out how I can not rush people through it, but be respectful of them as well as respect myself.
Well, in other words, be wise stewards.
There we go. That's the line of that. Well, let's talk about talking point number 2. And this is, I love this, fear of failure, fear of success, and fear of the unknown.
I think we got it all covered. We're just afraid.
I think we are afraid. And, fear can make us pick up some bad habits as opposed to really examining, where did this fear come from? Why do I believe this? What is the lie that the enemy is telling me? That I am not enough, or I don't have enough education, or this is not ever going to work. And, when we plan out our activities and we look at this and say, I was just saying this morning, what's the worst that can happen and what's the best that's going to happen? And somewhere in the middle is what's going to be the result. It's never going to be the biggest disaster we can imagine, right? We're not gonna blow up in flames if a marketing message doesn't work, right? But it's a kind of a hit to our ego. So really that fear of the unknown and looking at it and then addressing it and coming back with God's truth behind it.
Well, and also that we accept the average.
That's right.
There are times we accept the mediocre instead of saying, how can I get better? How can I be more efficient? And just really asking those questions.
Well, and really that's what faith is about, isn't it? Faith is about stepping out into the unknown and knowing that God's there. He's going to give us what we need to know at the time that we need to have it. And if we needed it earlier, he would tell us earlier. If we needed it later, he's not going to tell us until the time is. But that we're grasping his hand and we're walking out in faith and saying, okay, Lord, you've got this. I'm being obedient to what you've asked me to do. And, he's not going to lead us over the edge. He's not going to try to hurt us. He really wants the best for us. And we've got to believe that and dispel the lie of the enemy.
Oh, absolutely. That is so true. Well, this brings us to our third talking point. And that is develop proper focus on a given task. Because, see, we often lack discipline. Now, I do. I said it took me almost 2 hours close to 2 hours to do that. If I would have focused and not answered that email in between, or accept the interruption coming into the office, I probably would have shaved some more time because I would not have been picking it up and dropping it. we don't allow distractions to prevent us from finishing, right? We can't let them do that, because as we said, if we drop it and come back to it, it's going to take us even longer, because we've got to get our head back in the game. We got to focus. So we can't allow that, to happen. So when we block out time to do certain tasks, we must hold that very, very rigid, unless the house is on fire or, things like that. But you know what I mean. We've got to stop trying to please everyone. And we have to learn to say no. That's super important. It's one of the best things, one of the lessons I learned in Identity and Destiny is how to say no to the wrong things and yes to the right things. And we have to tie our goal to our mission.
Mm-hmm.
We have a mission, we have a purpose, and we have to be looking. So entrepreneurs, you have a mission for your business. So you have to ask yourself, is that task going to get me, is that fulfilling my mission? Is that goal that I have set before me in alignment with my mission? It's a tough question to ask sometimes.
Yeah, it is, because there's some things that we find is much more fun for us to do, right? This is what we'd prefer to do than whether the task is at hand, or that we get some other interruptions from our family or from our friends or people that, just want to, they drop in. I mean, sorry, at home, it's just the way it is. Our dogs need to have a walk. There you are. So, how do we those to a minimum? But I believe that when we're focused on what the result is, and that it is speaking to our assignment, that we say to ourselves, this is what God is doing. This is what he's asked me to do. I've got to give an accounting of this to the Father. Then that makes a big difference in how we allocate and use our time more efficiently. So I think 3 great tips, but we know there's a lot more to it.
Oh, absolutely. But stay the course. And here's another thing that I'm going to throw in a fourth one, just because. Forgive yourself. Okay, so you did get distracted today. You didn't finish today. Don't start tomorrow beating yourself up for today, right? I think we even talked about something like that a few weeks ago. I think we talked about it in our life group, and I think we even talked about it here.
Exactly.
We have to forgive ourselves instead of carrying that around, because all it's doing is distracting us from completing tomorrow.
I agree, Wendy. I agree wholeheartedly. So these have been 3 really good tips today. I hope the ladies are going to spend some time and just reflect on them. So as they look back and say to themselves, well, what are the reasons why I get distracted? What are the reasons why and how do I overcome those reasons? Do I have a fear of failure? Do I have a fear of success or a fear of the unknown? And how is the Lord leading me through that? And the third one then is really about developing a proper focus on your task. So we want to make sure that we have those focuses and we're able to put them in alignment, and especially tying all of our goals to our mission so that we can achieve. If we're on assignment, the Lord has handed it to us.
Right.
And now what do we need to do to make sure that happens?
Absolutely. Well, Debra, I want to acknowledge a couple people here on our podcast. Tolbert is with us from Kenya. So glad you're here. Linda asked about the link for our podcast from last week. If you go to Friday, because we were traveling, it got released a day late. But if you go to Friday, you should be able to find it there. Well, Debra, it's time to give them some scripture, because we know that is where we need to start.
I would agree. So let's start with Proverbs 4:25. Let your eyes look directly forward and your gaze be straight before you. Well, this really comes back to what we've talked about before, isn't it, Wendy? That we don't go looking to the right or to the left, but we keep our own race in mind and what the Lord has for us to do. And if we stumble and we don't something doesn't go the way we think it should, it's okay. We're going to be able to pick it up. The Lord's going to pick us up, dust us off, and set us on the right race ahead.
Absolutely. Well, our second scripture comes from Philippians 3:14. I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. I press on. Keep moving forward. Focus on the mission and press on. Love that.
Me too. Pressing on. Second Chronicles 15:7. But that means you, be strong and do not lose courage, for there is a reward for your work. And our efforts are noticed, they are important, and we need to be strong and be courageous. I also often talk about being bold, being courageous and strong, and we can do this, ladies. The Lord has this, and He has a special plan for you.
And if
Wow.
you're any men listening to our podcast, the men, you can do it too. This is everyone. We want to make sure that we are all God's children and stepping forward and moving forward. Well, today we wanted to add something, and we want to give you a call to action, because we realize that we do have to focus, and we sometimes can't always do it alone. And sometimes we need that person that holds us accountable, right? So our call to action is to schedule a free 30-minute coaching consultation with either Debra or myself. Now, I know Victor, who, congratulations, ladies, we need to celebrate, because he was just married last week and he's back with us. We missed him last week. But he has put links to Debra and I's calendar in the chat box so that you can schedule that consultation. That is your call to action. We would love to sit down and talk with you about what is your current challenges and put together an action plan for you, and just spend some time and pray with you. Because see, one of the things that I love about what we do here, what our Kingdom coaches do, is we provide holistic training and coaching founded in biblical principles. Our programs are customized so we meet your specific needs. We surround you with a community of biblical entrepreneurs from around the world that are in alignment with your values and faith. Our proprietary tools and processes are really designed to move your business forward to achieve results. So, call to action, ladies. Schedule your consultation. Gentlemen, if you're listening to this podcast, you are welcome to schedule your consultation with us as well. We would love to have an opportunity to work with you to help you get to the next level.
Wow, Wendy, so important. And, that one-on-one coaching can really identify specific issues that you may have about your business and give you a chance just to speak directly about them. However, we also have great ways of, and from that point on, moving you into maybe a community, a classroom with others who can lend their support and insight and knowledge. So our community is specifically designed around biblical entrepreneurs. Our mission for Nehemiah is that we build kingdom businesses, and this means God's glory to our business that can be a light in the marketplace. So if you have a desire to build a kingdom business and you want to know what that means and how to do it, schedule your 30 minutes. Either one of us, we're happy to share with you and work with you to help you design and the kind of business that the Lord has deposited in.
Oh, I love it. Well, We are at the end of our time, sadly enough. It is time to get back to our to-do list. I have a few things left on my priority list today. But as you get ready to leave today, we want to leave you with this scripture. Look to the Lord and his strength. Seek his face always. 1 Chronicles 16:11. So are you a finisher or are you a starter? Be a finisher. Join us. Y'all have a great day.
Blessings, everyone. See you next week.